Mungashake here to do a workbench video on the internals of the new Buzz-Bee Twist Fury. Now, I don't know why they came up with that name, but the only thing that actually twists on it is, of course, the priming bar. Because you can go, yay. That's it. Now, what we're going to do is quickly just go over this because I have this torn apart because I'm going to do a paint job on it. I'm going to do a mod. Actually, I have two to do mods on. One will be featuring a certain individual's kit. Not going to give it away just yet, but that's going to be going in here. And I'm also going to do a second one with my own mod. So we're going to take a look at what this thing has going for it in its stock configuration. Now, when you go to actually take the shell apart, if you'll notice on this side, you don't see the screw holes. All the internals are actually on the same side that the screws come from. So you have to be careful to make sure to extract the screws, or if you're flipping it apart, you got to be careful to remember the internals are in on the same side that you remove your screws from. And all the screws are the same except for two. You have these two here, and these are not the same length, as you can tell. They're slightly different. The longest of the two is easy to remember. That is the one that actually passes through the paddle style mag release. So the longest screw goes there. Now the other oddball screw goes all the way to the front of the shell. Let me set these aside for a second. And it actually comes out of this point. So just remember that. You get one long screw here, and then the longest of the bunch comes out of the mag release. Now, this fell out, but it's perfect because I want to talk about this. Everybody has known in previous times Buzz-Bee dart gates, if you want to say, or dart tooth. They had a torsional spring. The Twist Fury does not, and I'm going to call that a gigantic win. Because you can buy spring kits. I have small spring kits up here on my workbench, and these type of springs for retraction, they're tension springs. As you can see in there, the dart gate is, I'm going to call it a gate. It's Buzz-Bee's is more of a dart tooth because the gate slides up and down, but the dart tooth is actuated by this long bar that goes to the trigger. So it's a direct mount. You can actually see where it's mounted right here behind the mag release. That is connected to this piece of plastic here that has a shouldered screw holding it in place, and then a slot for the dart tooth to engage in. And of course the whole unit gets retracted forward with this tension spring, which is nice. It's reliant on a very easily accessible spring instead of those oddball little torsion springs. That's one thing I noted immediately. It still has the same spring-loaded dart guide, and it does have a spring there that we need to keep track of if you're going to use this in a stock form. But if you're pulling it apart, you're probably going to modify it. So keep that in mind. And when you do take it apart, of course we got to watch out for the spring here. The kit I'll be using does reuse this spring, but does not reuse this mag release. So we'll set that aside. But I always keep everything as spares though, because you never know. Now, one thing to note is that I did find, at least on this shell side, there is one hidden screw that is attaching right here. You can see the little dimple of the molding. So you can't just simply remove this black piece without taking that screw out. Only comes into play if you're going to paint like I'm going to. And it does have a pretty sizable faux barrel, but it is split. That's a positive and a negative in some ways. Structurally, it's a little less structural sound, but it's also easier to work with. Especially if you're going to do what I'm going to do on one of my builds, where I'm going to do a full custom setup with a brass breech of my own and a brass barrel. So when I get around to that, you can put in a couple of supports for the barrel in here, and then you have to just quickly sandwich it together if you're going to epoxy it in place. So some ideas. But removing, because we won't need this dart guide whatsoever. Remove it and save the parts. Might need it if you had a intention of keeping a stock one, which I will. I'll keep one of my Twist Fury stock, not either of these two that I'm going to be working with. But then you do have one tab here, as you can clearly see, holding on the clear plunger tube. So I'll have to remove that. There's one screw going into the tab there. Remove that. And then should be able to remove the entire assembly vertically. Let's see, the release that right there. Looks like I'm going to have to remove our catch first. I thought I'd be able to pop it up and over it, but it's causing a little bit of trouble. So 2 screws, remove the catch. As you can see, just a typical sliding catch. Pretty nicely built. Quite sturdy. That bodes well for my second mod I'll be doing. First one's only going to have a 9 kilogram spring in it, so that one itself is not going to be the biggest mod in the world. So do remove the catch and the screw up above. And that allows you to pull up the entire stock breech, priming bar, and plunger tube assembly. Absolutely love that. This is going to become one of my absolute favorite Buzby blasters of all time. I can already see that. This thing is well designed, so thanks, Taffy. that is who gets the credit for that. And Buzby for following through with this design. But this whole thing is a assembly. Interesting. So for now, till further ado, we will set that aside. Which then allows access to the bottom. Remove the other half of the faux barrel. Remove your dart tooth. And, of course, for any kind of painting, we are going to remove... This is some sort of a lock. It's like some sort of a dart lock, or trigger lock, I mean. So we'll remove that. That probably will not be reinstalled on anything I do. Remove the trigger. Yeah, I am tossing them into a little parts bin. I got an empty... They are actually like Sterilite shoe boxes. That's what I use for all my mods that are in progress. Little Sterilite shoe box. I'll show it here in a second. After I kick my stool around a couple times. Yeah, you can go get these for like $1.50 at most stores. And they are perfect for mods that are in progress. You can just put all your small hardware in there, including, I put body panels in them. Faux barrel will go in it. And then, like I said, both sides obviously have this one singular screw holding in the black. This black, it's just a trim piece really, but it does make up part of the grip. Because I will not be reusing, I will not be painting any of those. I'll be reusing it in its current color. So when I do my paint, which is going to be a full Hydro Dip, got to give this thing a worthy Hydro Dip. It's absolutely worth it. With the work that went into making this thing come to be a reality, sure, we got to give it a worthwhile paint job. And just for those with maybe a sneaking suspicion of, and you already know what my favorite colors are, you can already tell Buzby did something really nice for me in that the colors that make up these parts that you can remove all match my channel colors. You know, matches the whole Mongoose team colors for mountain biking. So I wonder what color scheme I'm using for hydro dipping. We'll find that out. Find that out down the road. Because my mod will probably be, it'll be at least a week away with all the coats I got to do on colors. But all in all, I also have to comment, this plastic feels good. And yes, it does have flex. Flex is not necessarily a bad thing in plastic quality. Plastic that flexes decently without stressing holds up really well. I mean, because obviously the blaster was very rigid when all put together. But now, that's a solid blaster, easy to take apart. The only thing I haven't tore down, of course, would be the whole plunger tube assembly. And there's the secret. Okay, coming back over to this, so I said I'd set that aside for now. You move your plunger tube down, you pull this back, and then that reveals one screw to remove. I did not intend that to be left to the end, but, well, so be it. We'll remove this screw, which is critical, so don't strip it. Saying that aloud to myself and to anybody watching. Just remove that. And that'll be easy to spot. That's the third oddball screw, aside from the shouldered ones. You already would realize the shouldered ones, they're there to hold things in place. So now, and we also have two screws here and here. So we'll take those out. That should then allow that to actually come apart. And yes, I like doing these in real time. It may be a little bit of a long video for some people, but I kind of like doing it real time. So you can see what it's like. That'll save you the burden of having to watch me take apart all the screws from the shell halves, but we'll go through this part together. And that should do it. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so stock breech right here, and the air restrictor pops right out. Oh, that's beautiful. Them doing that sandwich effect, and then there's the O-ring, so don't lose that. There's the air restrictor spring. That's a little tangled. I don't want to lose that screw right there, so just gently nudge it out. There. Okay. So, now this will slide all the way over. No, it will not. Okay, so that is caught there. I'm not too worried about that right now. There is a little bar here. I'm not going to push this out on camera. This is going to probably take a little bit of extra support, and I don't want to knock the camera around. But you have to press that out, and then all of this will slide out backwards. All of it. So yeah, you'll have to take everything out backwards. Yeah. Okay. That would be the way to go about that. So press that out, and which you can just, press it out with, say, a punch, and then pull it out, and then go all the way backwards with everything. But I'll leave that for off camera. But at least you know what to do when you get to it. Man, that would be easy. That's easy AR removal and dart post removal. If I wanted to do easy breech, which is just a sleeved breech. But that's the end of this. We'll set all this aside. Rescue my O-ring out of its spring prison. And toss it in there. And the next time you see this blaster, it will be modded. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this real-time internals guide and kind of rambling thoughts about the blaster and how it operates. Till next time, it's Mongoose Jake saying thanks for watching.